Hello, everyone. Today, our guest is Abbas Yousufzai. Abbas completed his bachelor's from UT Austin. He founded Conrad Labs and also served as a co founder of Yotascale. Abbas also advises and mentors startup founders, and he is also known as a tech investor.
Currently, Abbas has launched a health tech startup known as Alif Care. It is a fully managed chronic care platform that leverages technology to make healthcare more accessible, economical, and effective. A fun fact about Abbas is that he's amazing at card tricks. Assalamualaikum Abbas, how are you doing?
Walaikum
Assalamualaikum.
salam. I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. So it's an honor.
Absolutely our pleasure. First of all, though, we'd like to congratulate you on launching your recent startup, Alif Care. And we'd want to know more about it. Exactly, uske piche kya kahani hai? What made you, start this? Aisa kya tha that made you feel कि यार this is the right next step for you?
क्योंकि मैंने basically, LinkedIn पे I saw that, you wrote something about it. And मेरे लिए तो खैर it was very, heartwarming कि
Yeah.
it had a beautiful story. So would really love कि उसके पीछे आप बताओ कि किस तरह से वो story चली थी. And it was, I mean, मेरे लिए तो खैर वो काफी moving भी थी. So I would really want to know.
And I'm
कि-
sure it will be for a lot of other
Yeah,
people as well.
definitely.
Very बहुत शुक्रिया. I got a lot of love from you, and then a lot of the community reached out. So बहुत शुक्रिया. नहीं, that's a great question. उसमें I think जो Alif Care का genesis है, that predates my entrepreneurial journey,
Mhm.
right? So as much as I am very enterprising, I started being a caterer first. So that's really kind of what defines me. If you ask my family, कि अच्छा अब्बास कौन है, कैसा है,
Hmm.
तो they will start with कि हाँ, he is the person. वो तो है ना कि बचपन में आपके कोई सवाल अब्बू आते हैं, बेटा पानी ले आओ. So there's one
There's
kid
one
who's like,
kid who's
oh,
like,
I'm
"मैं
gonna do
लेके
this,
आऊंगा,"
right? मैं
yes.
लेकर आऊंगा. So and I had a large family, छह बहन भाई.
Oh,
So
nice,
I was the
mashallah.
one that would be like racing through the door. Oh, I'm going to do this because I had somebody. I had an ask from every time from my dad as well. But anyway, so that was me. So I think it's kind of ingrained. However, so the story behind Alif Care is that पिछले कोई I'm in my mid late 40s,
Hmm.
so somewhere in between. And as far as I can remember, I have always uh, cared about family, people, राह गुजरने वाला लोग, right? रुक के पूछना कि क्या सही है, everything's
Yeah.
fine, right? So there is a lot of empathy, compassion that's valued in my family, and that's kind of, I think, I've inherited the best of it. My parents, my siblings would disagree, but that's in me.
Yeah.
So the story behind Alif Care is that पिछले कोई 25 एक साल
Mhm.
I have been in some kind of medical situation or emergency with my loved ones,
Mhm.
and on and off. That's been part of my that's part of the journey that I've had as a founder.
Yeah.
And so I've had to look at that, evaluate, and my decisions, a lot of decisions revolve around that.
Mhm.
Okay, how can I do both? Can I be a caterer, a khidmatgar, and how can I best serve, sort of focus on my talents
Yeah.
as an engineer and entrepreneur. So the Alif Care story really revolves. I mean, if I were to go backwards, it is the last few years, 2019 se onwards, when I moved back to look after one of my parents in a critical condition, and it wasn't the first time. तो I felt कि जो मैं जिससे मैं गुजर रहा हूँ, despite being privileged
Hmm.
and having all the resources, if it's so tough for me to manage as a carer and for them to manage as a patient,
Yeah.
For the rest of us, it
Yeah.
is going to be unimaginable. And I wanted to bring that change. It's like that the 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 empathetic person in me, and then
Yeah.
the engineer in me wasn't. It's like, no, this has to be solved.
Yeah.
So that's the genesis of Alif Care. And just to give you a quick idea, I've dealt with very different sort of medical situations and
Yeah.
pathologies, mental, chronic care, as well as some autoimmune. and I found every there's a lot of opportunity to reinvent and reimagine healthcare
Yeah.
in Pakistan, in the world. So all of those experiences came together to in the shape of
Yeah.
of Alif Care.
Okay.
That's kind of the
It was
start of
like
that.
all your skills coming together essentially.
G
Your
G
skills as
G.
a carer, your skills
बिल्कुल
as an
Yeah.
engineer. You were like a perfect wo match. Ek
बिल्कुल
mil gaya.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल and as
And
a card magician as well. There has to be magic involved in, like, in creating something of
100%,
value, right? So that's
100%.
absolutely.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल
तो
That's
अब्बास, ये ज़्यादातर फोकस किस मतलब मेडिकल कंडीशन या हेल्थ केयर वाली साइड पे आप कर रहे
बिल्कुल
हो,
जी
और वो क्यों कर रहे हो, जिसके लिए भी आप कर रहे हो?
जी. So I think the story goes something like this. I'm also very very focused and data driven.
Okay.
Uh, I've done a lot of different things in my life. Some by just pure instinct,
yeah.
some by luck,
Yeah.
and some like by gut feel hota hai, right? And as you hopefully learn, and I've hopefully learned from my good and bad mistakes, right? You try and don't repeat the same mistake, and you try to get better at it, right? तो इसमें ना बहुत सारा जो एलिमेंट था वो आई वाज लुकिंग एट कि अच्छा अगर मैंने हेल्थ केयर सॉल्व करना है, जो कि मैंने बहुत ज़्यादा एक डिलिबरेट डिसीजन और सोच समझ के और बहुत ज़्यादा डेटा ड्रिवन भी, और वही जो बात है कि व्हाई मी, आई आस्क दैट क्वेश्चन अ लॉट कि यही करना है मैंने, क्यों करना है मैंने, कोई और क्यों नहीं कर सकता. तो वो सब करने के बाद, so the what we are doing is we are a chronic care sort of program. Okay.
Okay.
By the way, we just finished our pilot, so it was a short.
We're actually going to talk about that as well.
Oh
How
wow,
did that
amazing!
go?
So there's a lot of, so a lot more learnings
Yeah.
since the article I wrote, right? Now I feel I was very naive and young, whatever whenever that was. But उसमें ये था कि uh, the aim, the goal is कि we really want to uh, go towards the preventive side. Okay, if you look at and I said कि the decision was made based on कि data क्या कह रहा है हमें, what can technology solve, what can Abbas solve, and is this something that is very specific and has a very small footprint
Yeah.
and surface area? Yeah, it is wide. So all those decisions were considered to say कि अच्छा हमारा क्या aim है, and the aim really is to not just not just solve diabetes, but to prevent chronic care.
Yeah.
Chronic care, just to give you some idea, is every other adult in the world has chronic care, right? पाकिस्तान में तो हर पांचवें बंदे को, एडल्ट को, डायबिटीज है, प्री डायबिटीज है. दुनिया में हर आठवें बंदे को डायबिटीज है. तो हम देख ही रहे थे हम कि क्या ऐसी चीज है जो कि फ्रॉम अ ह्यूमन कैपिटल परस्पेक्टिव एंड आल्सो इकोनॉमिक परस्पेक्टिव इम्पैक्ट करती है लॉन्ग टर्म में, right? So a lot of this is as much as I am more about, as I said, solving a individual lives, right? Like I really cared that much about each of us, right?
Yeah.
But I also wanted to see, can we spread that, can we make it more impactful, can we have bring the same uh detail and empathy resolve, but how can we do this for the masses, right? So I would love I imagine a world jahan pe Alif Care is a success, jahan pe it's not just solving diabetes for Joe, 1 out of 5 adults, in Pakistan, but it is so imagine the cost of of living with diabetes. We have less than 1% of our GDP goes to healthcare, right?
Yeah.
That's how it's disproportionate. So, however, the idea was कि if we can उसकी हम जड़ तक चले जाएं और उसको हम prevent कर दें, so those people can be a lot more, not only live a happy life, but can happily contribute to the economy. So
Yeah.
that burden or that opportunity is what led us need to look at the very spectrum and say, okay, oh, let's start with a disease which has long-term impact, but is proven by
Yeah.
data to be solved, and let's attack that first, and eventually we will get to solving or looking at chronic care in terms of management, dealing, and prevention. So that is how we thought about this problem.
Interesting.
Very
interesting.
interesting,
Yeah.
honestly.
And the reason we said diabetes, frankly, is कि
काफी
every
common है
disease
वो.
एक तो बहुत common है.
Yeah.
दूसरा इस पे बहुत ज़्यादा रिसर्च हुई है पिछले 5-7 साल में.
Yep.
तीसरी अगर आप उसको शुरू में पकड़ लें तो it's not it has उसकी रूट्स हर बीमारी में हैं.
Yeah.
लेकिन शुरू में ना it's not life threatening. When you look at some of the other diseases, right, they are so कहना चाहिए कि उसके इतने tentacles होते हैं, उसमें multidisciplinary चीजें होती हैं, उसमें ERs के बहुत चक्कर लगते हैं.
Yeah.
तो I was very deliberate कि what can be solved, show data so that we can solve bigger
Yeah.
problems later. So as founder, you're also looking at, do I go very wide and do I go sort of just very focused, right? And so we were looking at impact, number of people, data, but something that doesn't come out to be कि we're solving so many daily battles, which I went through,
Yes.
right? कि अब आपने भागना है रेडियोलॉजी के पास, अब भागना है इंकोलॉजी के पास, ये नहीं है. What can also be impacted through lifestyle, and that was perfect combination was
तो एक अच्छा
diabetes,
बैलेंस वहाँ
was
पे मिल गया
diabetes.
और
जी
वहाँ पे वो
Interesting.
चीज़ को सपोर्ट भी कर रहा था.
जी
सो अब्बास यहाँ पे फिर हम उस वाली चीज़ की बहुत बात करें, डेटा की, राइट?
जी
कि डेटा हमने कैसे गैदर किया, डेटा की बेसिस के ऊपर ही देन दिस इज द पाथ बेसिकली यू पेव्ड कि आगे जाना है इसके
जी.
ऊपर. और या एग्जैक्टली राइट. सो एक तो ये कि एक तो हम पाकिस्तान की बात कर रहे हैं, ठीक है, मतलब टू बी फ्रैंक एंड
जी,
ऑनेस्ट
बिल्कुल.
कि हम एक
Yeah.
पाकिस्तान हेल्थ केयर सिस्टम की बात करें जिसके अंदर देयर आर सो मेनी हर्डल्स एंड इश्यूज, राइट?
जी.
आपको डेटा कैसे कलेक्ट करना है, हमारी जो मैसेज हैं बेसिकली उनकी लिटरेसी रेट किस तरह से है, वो कैसे अपना
जी.
डेटा दे रहे हैं, मैनिपुलेट कितना डेटा हो रहा है, एक्यूरेसी उसकी क्या लेवल हो रही है,
जी जी
एंड देन उसके अंदर यू वेंट इनटू इट डीप और उसको अंदर भी रिसर्च है, राइट?
जी
और वो भी कहना कि अच्छा यार ये सही डेटा है या ये नहीं है, उसमें से भी यू हैव टू फिर बाइफरकेट सारी चीजें.
जी
तो ये मतलब इट्स अ वेरी बिग चैलेंज.
Yeah.
जी 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 जी
तो ये चैलेंज फिर आपने या आपकी टीम ने जिस तरह से
जी.
भी था इसके अंदर फोकस कैसे किया और फिर आपको डेटा मिला भी है, मतलब सही है पाकिस्तान से, क्योंकि ये एक बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज है.
ये that is a loaded question. और अगर आप मुझसे ये सवाल पूछती 5 महीने पहले या 6 महीने पहले जब हम बिल्कुल कंसीव कर रहे थे,
हाँ.
तो जो वही कह रहा हूँ कि एक आंसर जो है ना वो बहुत शायद सिमिलर ही होता, बट नाउ द लर्निंग्स आर इन्फ्लुएंसिंग हाउ आई
Yeah.
इवन अटेम्प्ट इट, राइट?
Yeah.
सो देखिए, एक तो शुरुआत थी कि किस बेसिस पे शुरू किया
सही है.
और हमने क्या सीखा, तो अब सीखने पे अभी आते हैं. सो देखिए, शुरुआत में जब देखा मैक्रो लेवल ऑफ डेटा, राइट, के यही वाली बात कि हमने किस पे फोकस करना है, उसके आउटकम कैसे होंगे, सक्सेस किस तरह मेजर करेंगे आप
Yeah.
उसकी,
Exactly.
राइट? सो अगर डेटा अगर चले नहीं भी है, गलत है, तो उसको गैदर करना है, आपको
बिल्कुल.
अपनी कन्विक्शन चाहिए, आपको टीम को सेल करना है, आपको इन्वेस्टर को सेल करना है. मोर इम्पोर्टेंटली, यू हैव टू कन्विंस the user, right? जो person who's actually going through diabetes, कि अच्छा हम किस तरह हेल्प करेंगे, किस तरह बेहतर हैं आप compared to the rest, right?
Yes.
And it is all based on a lot of that is data, but as I learned now, a lot of that is human touches and compassion as well, right? People just want to be heard a lot of times, right? जब आते हैं हमारे पास डायबिटिक पेशेंट्स, वो सिर्फ डेटा की बातें नहीं करते होते, उनके इतने like literally we have to be their psychologists, their best friends.
Yes.
We have to sometimes parent them, sometimes we are their kids, right?
Yeah.
Depending on that. So we're learning so much about you know just relating to be relatable, being
Yes.
human, and then just being good listeners.
आधी
Right?
बीमारी तो मेरे ख्याल में
तो-
वहीं पे
मेरे
सॉल्व हो
ख्याल में
जाती
ना
है
this is
जब आपको कोई
honestly
सुनने वाला मिल
so
जाए.
relatable,
Yes.
so
जी,
relatable
जी.
because I think हमारे parents को convince करना to go to a doctor to get anything
Yeah.
fixed is a whole battle.
जी.
I recently went through this episode where I was convincing my mom to go to the dentist, and it took me about 4 months to actually convince her to go. And उनकी लक चेक करें कि the day we went, the roads अभी recently एक वजह से block हुई भी थी, तो the doctor couldn't come. So she was like, this is a sign, I'm never coming back again. I was like, okay, sure. So apparently उनको medicines का कहना
जी.
कि you should take your medicines, not just reminders but also the convincing part
जी.
is so hard. So I
जी.
think you're doing a great job in terms
नहीं,
of the
बहुत शुक्रिया.
relatability
So I think
factor.
this is very related. So I think when we started,
Yeah.
our thesis was कि look, ये सबको मसला तो है ही है, right?
हम्म,
हमारे
जी.
पास हर 5वें एडल्ट को अगर ये है, तो क्या करें? Should we solve everybody? Should we focus? we really हर किसी को as you're starting as a what's the area of focus. तो शुरू में हमने कहा कि ले आओ जिसको मर्जी ले आओ, राइट, लाइक वेल मर्जी से मतलब है कि वी वांट टू बी के अर्ली स्टेज ही हो जिनको भी हुआ है, बट वी weren't sort of the criteria wasn't very discriminatory कि नहीं ये ऑनसेट पे हुआ है या मेच्योर है या टीनेजर है या 80 साल के हैं जिसको भी, बिकॉज वी वांटेड टू अंडरस्टैंड कि उनके चैलेंजेस क्या हैं, उनका डेटा क्या है, राइट. तो सो जस्ट टू काइंड ऑफ गिव यू एन आइडिया, राइट, बहुत पाकिस्तान में बहुत कम रिसर्च हुई हुई है इस पे. अगर आप देखें, एंड आई हैव अ लॉट ऑफ फ्रेंड्स हु आर इन दिस स्पेस हु आर इन द वेस्ट, यूरोप में, उन्होंने बहुत ज़्यादा डिटेल्ड डेकेड्स की रिसर्च की हुई है. इवन नेक्स्ट डोर इंडिया में बहुत सारी रिसर्च हो रही है इवन फॉर डेकेड्स कि डायबिटिक आपकी जेनेटिक मार्कअप का क्या इम्पैक्ट है, आपकी लाइफस्टाइल कैसी हैं, रहना सहना, आबो हवा, राइट, ऑल ऑफ दैट इम्पैक्ट इज इम्पैक्टेड, पर पाकिस्तान में नहीं है. तो आर वी, सो हाउ डू वी आइडेंटिफाई, राइट, सो दैट इज वाज द फर्स्ट पॉइंट कि अगर डेटा ही नहीं है और बहुत मैक्रो लेवल का डेटा है तो क्या वो वाकई काम करेगा या नहीं करेगा. सो वी स्टार्टेड ऑफ विद दैट थीसिस कि हाँ ठीक है, बड़ा बड़ा मसला है. सो अगर हम ये सॉल्व कर लेते हैं तो वी विल हैव सो मच डेटा इन पॉइंट्स टू आइडेंटिफाई कि अच्छा किसी को अगर डायबिटीज है कल को क्या, व्हाट्स द चांसेस ऑफ ओबेसिटी और आर्थराइटिस और जो नोकोमोर्बिडिटीज हैं. तो शुरू में तो it was just a lot of conviction but a lot of data. We so I mean I joke about it, but हमने शुरू में जाके ना खुफिया तरीके से क्लिनिक्स में बैठे, हॉस्पिटल में जाके बैठे कि अच्छा कहते तो हैं बट लेकिन होता क्या ग्राउंड रियलिटी में, राइट. सो it wasn't just कि अच्छा हम किसी जाके सिर्फ 5-star क्लिनिक में जाके बैठे. No, we did everything, right. We went to public hospitals and clinics to understand कि उनके challenges क्या हैं, राइट. कौन देख रहा है इनको, क्या बातें सुन रहे हैं, उनकी क्या वो एजुकेट किस तरह हो रहे हैं वो. So that all of that went into the program to say, look, as we, the outcome is exactly कि we want this to be in every person's hands, ताकि आपको पता लगे ना कि मैं, मेरे odds क्या हैं, how can I improve. There's a big portion of education in this, and of course there is a how do I improve this, right, what was my outcome. तो वो सब देखा था. और अब आके now we have a very focused thesis कि अच्छा हाँ ये भी कर लिया. Now we have segments कि बिकॉज हमारे अब प्रोग्राम्स के आउटकम आने शुरू हो गए हैं, सो नाउ वी अंडरस्टैंड कि हमने किस पे फोकस करना है और करना सबको ही है, राइट. अभी किस पे फोकस करें, 3 महीने बाद किस पे करें, 6 महीने बाद किस पे करें. तो वी आर गोइंग इन अ वेरी डेटा, as much as we are going in very data deliberate way. I spend a lot of my time talking to users, right, जिनमें I spend a lot of time in my customer service and support, right, to understand ke how are they relating to the program, how are they relatable to the application. अगर किसी हम 60 साल या 55 साल के जिनको नहीं इतना आइडिया, उनको हम ये ऐप पकड़ा दें, which again it is going to be complicated, it will give you a lot of information. उनमें और एक जो है ना सारा या सबीन में क्या फ़र्क है, राइट, और वो किस तरह अगर आप वो उससे कितना रिलेबल करेंगे. तो all of this has to happen with understanding your personas and your human psyche, and it is both. It is not just data. It is very much subjective about being there, understanding, listening to them. तो अब हमारे पास बहुत मज़ेदार किस्म की, we've gone through our pilot, and we touch wood, we have amazing results in terms of our outcome, people who've gone through this. तो अब हमें पता है कि हमने क्या नहीं करना और क्या करना है. अभी early days हैं, तो data plays a very pivotal role in all of this. And before I even starting building tech, हमने ये जो काम थे ना कि यूजर को अंडरस्टैंड करना, कहाँ पे वो अबैंडन कर रहा है, प्रोग्राम किस तरह करेगा, एजुकेशन उसने ये देखा नहीं देखा, उसकी मैसेजिंग क्या होनी चाहिए, किसको हमने सलाम करना है, किसको हेलो हाय करना है, किसको साइन ऑफ करना है, किसको मिस्टर कहना है, मिसेस कहना है, ये सब became super relevant to us. Right. So again, not to take the human element out of it, but now we have like personas and templatization in terms of how we address people. All of this is going into it because these are what app and program will of course guide you. But if somebody comes to me and doesn't address me the way or
I
relatable,
want to be
Yeah.
I
addressed.
would be like, acha, ठीक है, हाँ है, but it's not personal to me.
Yeah.
And imagine going back to sort of again my early days. I corrected very early on, okay, how to really talk to a 3-year-old and look after them, or sit in a 80-year-old gathering and be super relatable. So
Yeah.
that is the core of it. Okay, how do we really sort of break that barrier?
So this was mostly like the details about Alif Care.
Ji.
But I have a question. Ke, if you had to explain the concept of Alif Care to, let's say, a 10-year-old, how would you do it?
Amazing. अच्छा, and I feel stupid कि मैंने ये इस पहले जो है ना जवाब नहीं दिया इसका. That's how it should have been started, right? So Alif Care जो है, it is a 6-month program जहाँ पे हम आपकी पूरी की पूरी समझ लें मेडिकल साइंस, ह्यूमन इंटरैक्टिविटी और एक्टिव पर्सनलाइजेशन के आप कौन है, आपका बैकग्राउंड क्या है, उन सबको मिला के वी डिप्लॉय इट थ्रू टेक, एंड we promise, and we've now delivered on the promise, outcomes के आप 3 महीने में ये बेहतरी होगी और 6 महीने में ये बेहतरी होगी. तो हम क्या कर रहे हैं कि आपकी आपकी अपनी जब ये लाइफस्टाइल backed by medical science, backed by tech को मिला के we we ensure कि you have the best chance of beating the disease and living to the fullest. That's the promise of Alif Care.
Okay, perfect. That's great. As a 20 something years old now, I understand it better. No, but just like,
And the idea really is कि
Yeah, yeah.
when I say कि I really want this in all our pockets, it's not just कि oh now I have a problem.
yeah,
I really want us, and I really wish कि if I could go back to my 20s
yeah,
and say कि अच्छा ये Abbas है, right? And ultimately ठीक है, ये Abbas का genetic makeup है जो भी है, right?
yeah,
But what am I missing,
yeah,
right? Based on my family history, based on my habits,
yeah.
tell me something good to do so I can feel better. और उसके अंदर हम रोज बरोज ना सिर्फ मेडिकल in terms of के disease related, हम इसके अंदर psychology, meditation वो सब लेके आ रहे हैं, ताकि
Interesting.
it gives you a very active advice based on your habit and not based on genetic habit.
And it's like a holistic advice. If you
Very,
think
it's a
about
very
it.
complete
Yeah.
program, right?
Yeah,
So
Interesting.
wo inshallah we're gonna try and bring it as we learn more,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And as we
yeah.
understand our users more, which is
Yeah.
इसमें आती रहेंगी. But thank you
So-
for asking it.
No,
That's
the
a
reason I
good
asked
question.
this was because I feel like this program would. I'm not saying it's just targeted to people in like their 50s or 60s or the 70s, but a major chunk of your audience essentially can be those people if they aren't already.
Right.
So
Y-
convincing them or telling them about something would need to be as simplified as possible. So you can't say, this is like a tech program. It's more like,
नहीं.
यार ये आपकी ये
हाँ,
problem
हाँ,
solve कर
हाँ,
रहा है.
हम ये कहते हैं
So-
कि 90 दिन के अंदर 90 दिन में आप measurable results देखते हैं, you will feel better about yourself, आपकी दवाएं कम हो जाएंगी, आप वजन लूज करेंगे और आपकी ब्लड शुगर कंट्रोल में हो जाएगी, आपकी A1C ड्रॉप हो जाएगी.
Yeah.
90 दिन में ये होगा. और 100 और 6 महीने कितने होते हैं? 120 दिन तकरीबन. वही
180.
180, सॉरी, यस 180. That's 40, 4 months, yes. 180 दिन में आप जो है ना, the goal is कि आप चले जाएंगे towards pre-diabetic stages. So that's the
Right.
thing. अगर आप follow करेंगे program,
Yeah.
और हमारे पास now that we have data around it, जिन्होंने किया है follow, उनका क्या outcome है, जिन्होंने नहीं
Yeah.
किया उनका क्या outcome है. तो that is the program. ठीक है कि
Interesting.
okay, you will recover and you will feel better. You will go into remission and you will beat this. As in, you will go into a healthy, active lifestyle in
Yeah.
120 days. That's the
Interesting. So ये basically जितने भी entrepreneurs हैं, right?
जी
तो उनके लिए भी interesting learning बहुत हो सकती है इस startup से भी
जी
कि किस तरह से एक problem को देखना है, उसकी depth में कैसे जाना है,
जी
कौन कौन से verticals को basically focus करना है और कितना उसको expand करना होगा,
जी.
right? But तो अब्बास ये था कि ये अब्बास का एक आइडिया, ये एक पैशन था या एक पर्सनालिटी ही थी अब्बास की जो बहुत पहले से कहीं थी और अब वो मेरे ख्याल में आउटशाइन करी थी बिकॉज पहले कॉनरैड में यू वर पार्ट ऑफ दैट और उसमें फिर और ज़्यादा वेंचर्स किए, यू वर ऑल्सो फंडिंग अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स और फिर अब ये आया, राइट? सो जर्नी बेसिकली ना बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग होती है ऐसी चीज़ों की. जर्नी से मेरी मुराद क्या है कि टीम कैसे आपने बनाई, क्योंकि विजन अलाइन करना बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट है.
जी
मेरा और आपका अगर विजन अलाइन नहीं ना तो हम एक चीज़ पे काम नहीं कर सकते, राइट?
बिल्कुल ठीक.
तो आपकी टीम भी थी जिसने आपने बताया भी कि किस तरह से आप लोग क्लिनिक्स में जाके बैठ रहे थे, तो वो पैशन होना बहुत ज़रूरी है ऐसी
जी
चीज़ को फुलफिल करने के लिए.
जी
ठीक है, वो विजन किस तरह से लोगों में वो आ रहा था कि आपको ये फ्रेंड्स ही हैं या कोई और लोग हैं, और अब पहले कितनी टीम थी और अब कितनी टीम है, एंड
बिल्कुल.
आपका एंड गोल क्या है एट द एंड, फिर अपनी टीम को लेके, इस कंपनी को लेके कि क्या चाहते हो इसमें करना फिलहाल के लिए यार.
जी ठीक है. ज़बरदस्त सवाल है और बहुत सारे सवाल हैं
Yeah.
और ख़तरनाक सवाल भी हैं और आई डोंट नो इफ आई कैन टच ऑल ऑफ देम बट अमेजिंग राइट. देखिए सो मेरा बैकग्राउंड हैज़ बीन एंटरप्रेन्योरियल
Yes.
बचपन से. आई मीन आई इवन लाइक केयर जो केयर का होता है ना
Hmm.
बैकग्राउंड दैट्स आल्सो वेरी एंटरप्रेन्योरियल. तो
Yeah.
आपने लोगों को भी देखना है, आपने जो है ना एंड आई वाज वेरी स्पोर्टी, स्पोर्ट्स भी खेलने, पढ़ाई कम आएंगे तो चपेटें भी पढ़नी थी, तो वो भी थोड़ा सा आपने देखना है कि हाउ डू वी मैनेज ऑल ऑफ दैट राइट.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so that is where the jugaad happens, right? And that is entrepreneurship, right? Like so that's how you
Nice.
start, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so देखिए शुरू में आपको नहीं पता होता इन चीज़ों का, right?
True.
आप टीम पे फोकस नहीं करते. आप कहते हैं अच्छा you beggars can be choosers, right? So you look at what's available to you, the resources, and that is where you have to be scrappy, right? And
Mm-hmm.
as you do one or two or three of this, you start to it starts to somehow make sense कि नहीं
Yeah.
अच्छा I would love to work with this person, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have your
Yes.
favorites, right? And you know why? Because आपको पता होता है कि वो known quantities हैं, right?
Yes.
Good, bad. And there's a comfort element, right? And there is a और वो शुरू में जो है ना आपको वो चाहिए होता है because you are focusing on solving problems, and we know कि human problems are very hard to solve, right?
Yes.
So I learned this long ago. Okay, team is everything, right? Team is everything. You cannot compromise on the team. You can compromise the idea, perhaps, right? Or you can compromise on the goals and the outcomes.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the right people to work with you and back you up and pick you up and cheer you,
Yes.
because
Yes.
it is very difficult journey,
Yeah.
Johanna. And as I now I know, okay, healthcare, venture, consumer things that I know nothing about. It is
Mm-hmm.
a difficult journey. So you need even more support and people, right? Oh yeah, ठीक है, एक तो ये ना कि घर पे हैं, we have friends हैं and family हैं, and I've been blessed to have the best even partners who've said कि हाँ जाओ करो ये, right? And my family's friends are amazing. They're also amazing carers. I would say they take care of me. तो वो करना ही है. But आप जब 12-15 घंटे spend करें जिनके साथ build करने में, वो बहुत ज़रूरी है कि uh, they should be the people, the team that you really want to spend the time and both invest in them, and they should go in all in on this,
Yes.
right? अब हर चीज़ possible नहीं सकती,
Mm-hmm.
right? So इस केस में we're not sitting in the valley.
Yeah.
पाकिस्तान के अपने मज़ेदार challenges हैं which I love, right? Like I love building in challenging and distressed situations में, because that I do believe कि that's what shapes you.
Because it's
You-
a new problem you have to
it's
solve
a
every
it's a
day.
new problem. It's a I mean एक तो आपके वो जो वरना के वो daily friction वो तो है ही है.
हाँ.
But even then जो economic challenges, the
Yeah.
political challenges, the capital challenges, but that's the fun part. Like I
Achha,
believe
this
कि
is the fun part.
I
Navigating
love it.
all of those
I
challenges.
love this. Like this is
Nice.
amazing.
Awesome.
It's easy कि आपको बहुत सारे पैसे भी मिले हुए हैं, right? जो मर्जी कर लो, right? But I think that's where I find कि you're not like truly you're आपका जो true sense of entrepreneurship और constraint base है ना वो नहीं मिलता. तो आप फिर जो है ना थोड़े से relax हो जाते हो, right? So we have, of course, I see the giants like Yasser's done this, and I've seen people before me who've done a lot of entrepreneurship वगैरह from scratch, right? And I see कि इस केस में I deliberately said कि look मैं इसको खुद फंड करूंगा. I knew कि कहाँ पे फोकस करना है. या
Yeah.
मैंने
ठीक
प्रॉब्लम
है.
सॉल्व करना है,
हम्म.
या मैंने पैसों के पीछे भागना है, या मैंने बेस्ट लोगों के पीछे भागना है. uh, uh, it is going to be sort of a compromise on a
Yeah.
few things, but एक चीज पे compromise नहीं करना, which is team.
हम्म.
right?
हम्म.
तो अब उसमें भी ये था कि some of the best people that I know, that I now knock word, we're at a point जहाँ पे मेरी अपनी conviction भी बहुत high है, data नजर आ गया है, we're hopefully there'll be good backers to back us up, वो चल रहा है. So now, I always, I can get them to join, right?
Yeah.
But शुरू में भी I picked the right team, and I believe कि with the right team and small team, you can accomplish a lot. As long
Absolutely.
as you're focused.
Yes.
As long as you're focused, and as long as you are leading from the front, you're making mistakes, you're open about it. So team के अंदर साथ साथ transparency, communication is very, very critical, and focus, right? So that becomes some of the values as well.
Yeah.
And the values in my mind are not just something that you paste on your wall. It's something you live by, something you interview. So when I'm interviewing, I look at these values, and we have specific questions around it to see are they even matching or not, those values, right? Again,
Yeah,
are
yeah.
they scrappy? Are they okay with not giving a lot of detail? Would the
Yes.
ownership kitni hogi, right? जुगाड़ू होंगे नहीं होंगे, right? वो सब चीजें are important. And if not, that means कि then you will need to do a lot of the coaching, and they're wrong fit.
Yes.
So as much as it's important to understand the skill set and technical depth and product acumen, it's very important the stage and your values that you as a founder and founding team believes in. And I spend a lot of time interviewing and filtering out those values.
I've heard कि your interview process even beforehand भी Conrad में भी तो वो
जी.
एक rigorous process होता था
जी.
कि मुझे एक right team
और
चाहिए है.
मुझे बल्कि इससे I remember this dialogue you said on a TV show
Oh
that
my
was like, I believe in making people over making profit.
Yeah.
Of course.
So I feel
Anytime.
like that was,
Anytime.
even though that show was like a few years ago, or tab
Right.
shayad Alif Care wasn't
Right.
like anywhere on your even on your radar,
Right.
but the ideology has been the same.
I think so. I think if it's one thing that I would want to sort of impart, is that investing in people and in their careers.
Yes.
That's, I'm selfless there. I spend a lot of my time to much to मेरी जो chagrin of my family कि ये time तो हमारा था, but I do spend a lot of time wherever I can coaching, advising young people, even grade 8 के लोग reach out करते हैं कि हम क्या करें, 10 के
I have heard कि आपको कोई भी LinkedIn पे मैसेज करे तो you
मैं कोशिश करता हूँ. But so I think people are critical, but उनमें investment is equally critical, as long as कि आपकी early values और आप जिस stage पर हैं उनके लिए अच्छा fit हो. ठीक है? So founding team के बगैर आप नहीं कर पाएंगे.
True.
यहाँ पे वैसे एक contradiction at times that I feel that founders may face is कि when they are so focused on investing in their people, making sure कि they stick
जी.
around, they are adding value to whatever you're building, तो वहाँ पे are those people reciprocating this as well?
Yeah.
Because at times you feel कि if
जी.
there's an engineer that you feel कि यार ये बंदा जो है ना ये मुझे अपनी प्रोडक्ट पे चाहिए ही चाहिए, so they might abuse this need, right? They'll
जी.
be like no, I want a lot more money because
जी.
I know you really want me. And then फिर वहाँ पे the question arises कि the values that you have, especially if they are focused more on creating value besides financial aspects, so are they even a good like cultural fit for you?
Amazing question. And like after doing this a few times, you feel कि you're मसला ही कोई नहीं है, right? अगर मैं करूँगा, people who are in my like inner circle or whatever, तो आ जाएंगे. Never happens, right? You still have to convince them, and to your point, they have to be वही वाली बात कि do they believe in it, and for what reason?
Yeah.
So early team के अंदर वही कह रहा हूँ कि luckily we don't, we're not in a world जहाँ पे free capital पड़ा हुआ है और आप जो मर्जी कर लें, जितने मर्जी वैसे देके ले आए लोगों को. You now have to convince them, and you have to make sure that they're coming for the right reasons.
Absolutely.
And money is not going to be the
main
driving
well, you
force.
can't.
Yes.
You don't have it, right? You just don't have it.
Yeah.
So there has to be common ground and values where they come in. So to me, that's and this is, as I've learned over decades, okay, investing doesn't mean that you're coaching him all the time. Investing is a two-way street, right? So whenever you're meeting with them, you're one-on-ones, you're very clear with them. Okay, this is this is where you're coming in. Here are our needs today. Here are her needs. What we think is going to be in 3 months, and then you coach them through this. कि expectations क्या हैं आपकी?
Mhm.
And if you can do that and give them very open feedback and receive feedback, that is where magic happens. So you
Yeah.
bring people who you think are high bar, not necessarily coming in for the, okay, I'm gonna make $5,000, right? That's the wrong value to begin with, right? So, and luckily we've been able to attract talent that we've been able to mark down maybe 5 times salary के पहले बना रहे थे. But they believe in two things, right? They believe in the impact and the vision, and they want to be part of the early founding team and
Yeah.
and learn, because that's the fun part. Like honestly, right? I mean, the funnest part is this, which we're going through,
Absolutely.
the ideation se
Yeah.
leke getting something built and celebrating every win,
Yeah.
right?
100%.
तो उस केस में uh, again, love the part के जहाँ पे constraints हो, and
Hmm.
you are spending time on the constraint, but to your point, वो चीजें हर चीज perfect नहीं होती.
Hmm.
ठीक
Yeah.
है? So I mean, so now that we have, I said, some conviction, we have good user base, we have data, we have some capital coming in. Now there are a group of people that I am actually chasing, and that's part of my founder team, is to spend a lot of my time thinking about team and bring the right people
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
right time.
Absolutely.
So that's what's happening now.
बस
Is
वो
like,
3 ऐसी कौन सी वैल्यूज है विच यू नीड टू हैव इन अ पर्सन जो कि आपकी टीम का पार्ट बन रहा हो. मतलब मुझे और सारा को अगर आपने तो यार ये 3 वैल्यूज अगर है ना, तो आई वुड वांट दिस पर्सन टू वर्क इन माय टीम या वर्क विद मी, स्पेशली एट दिस लेवल.
बिल्कुल ठीक है. देखिए, पहली चीज़ जो है ना, वो है कि ऑफ कोर्स यू वुड लुक एट स्किल सेट,
सही है.
राइट?
Yeah.
सो अब सारा इन सबीन को आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू इंटरव्यू देम कि ठीक है, आप आके मेरे लिए जो है ना वो रिएक्ट नेटिव कोड लेना शुरू कर दें, या यू बिकम द बेस्ट डेटा
Yeah.
इंजीनियर्स, राइट? So पहली तो डेफिनेटली दे हैज टू मैच द रिक्वायर्ड स्किल सेट कि
सही,
देखें
बिल्कुल सही.
ये कर रहे नहीं कर रहे, राइट? दूसरा, I do look at stage fit. Again, so meaning कि somebody at, let's say, at Conrad or Arbisoft or Systems, or right, who's used to a very different mode of conducting, operating. कि चाहे मुझे कोई शायद काम बताएगा, मेरा टीम लीड होगा, मैं वो काम अच्छी तरह से करूँगा, लेकिन वो क्या चीज़ मुझे मिल रही है और क्या डिलीवर कर रहा हूँ आउटपुट, राइट?
Yeah.
And that is a lot of that is just codified, process centric, वो चीज़ें जो कि नहीं चलेंगी in startup world, right? You need people to define, so I expect people to come in, be also very systems thinker. आ रहे हैं, सिखा तो रहे हैं, but then they're taking it, improvely, constantly iterating it, and they're good with ambiguity. They embrace ambiguity,
Yeah.
right? They crave ambiguity, a sense of ownership, right? Number 3, which is the most important for me, I'll take this any day, is somebody who is very transparent and open communicator and coachable. So if I have somebody who has good skill set, not the best one, but somebody is coachable and amazing communicator, to me those are culture builders. And I'll pick
Yeah.
that over a very high performer who thinks or whatever, right? Like that's not going to be culture builder, who is coming from a very different, coming from the top tier Amazon, right? I don't think that person will do well or
Yeah.
survive in this thing. तो ये तीन चीजें जो है ना, वो definitely है. And so that's kind of what we look at, and then फिर वो once they're in, तो फिर there's a hook. आ जाओ, अब हम और चीजें कर लेते हैं. So luckily what's happening is that now in our team as well, a lot of people are like, because there's such a focus on healthy mind, healthy
Yeah.
body, Sara coach. So a lot of people, a lot of the team is now eating very healthy. We're focusing on activities that are, like everybody's going to gym, finding
Interesting.
time,
This is so
right?
cool.
That's so nice.
So I think I see Alif as also, where you pick anybody and it will be the best of us, like the
Wow, this
happiest,
is so nice.
pace के शायद now, but in terms of inner happiness and happiness
Yeah.
ज़रूर होगा, and focusing on themselves. So that's what we want to depart with.
And I think that's so much better, right? Because like
Yeah.
intrinsically, ek to aapki, obviously if you're happy, so you tend
Hmm.
to perform better at work. You're a better person overall, even for people around you.
Absolutely.
So
और
I
अपने ही
love
प्रोडक्ट और
that.
आइडिया को
हाँ.
और अच्छा करने के लिए आप अपने आप को भी चेंज कर रहे हैं
Yeah.
और वो चेंज एक्चुअली में हेल्दी चेंज
और
है.
वो visible भी होगा probably
Exactly.
for customers.
Yeah, and that's why I love, like solving product ideas. Ke, day 2 pay, you're supposed to you onboard on our platform. You use
Yeah.
the app, and then you saying how is it helping or not helping, and how do you improve it. So वो हम कर रहे होते हैं.
Right.
So was the last time we met, you were still running the pilot for
जी.
Alif Care. So I'm sure that now that the pilot is over, there's so many things that have happened since then, so many learnings, expansion भी हुई and things like that. So I think my question would be that while you were running the pilot, your mindset and your goals and things that might have been a little different.
जी.
Because you would have felt कि अच्छा यार मुझे लग रहा है कि ये इस तरफ जा रहा है. But once the pilot ended, you ran analyses, you saw कि अच्छा यार ये scene है. So those would have deviated a bit.
जी.
So can you talk a little bit about
Of course.
that?
And you're hearing this first. Maybe some of the team, I mean, the team knows, but amazing question. This is very very sort of relevant. तो देखिए जब pilot शुरू किया था उसमें so the good part is कि outcome driven शुरू से ही थे. So we
ठीक है.
knew कि देखें अगर आपने कोई meaningful results लेके आने हैं जिसके बारे में you feel conviction कि हाँ ये है और you can even be authentic and write even publish a paper कि देखो ये हम कर चुके हैं. So that means कि आपको अपने goal set करने हैं शुरू से. So I love that part कि I've run enterprise SaaS and I've run a lot of these different things. उनके जो OKRs or metric or key objective keeps changing, right? Sometimes, based on different things. यहाँ पे we don't have much of a wiggle room. So the outcomes are amazing. Like, we said कि हमारे एक certain number of users होंगे, which will go through the program. और उनकी जो मैंने बताया कि उनके results क्या हैं. Outcome के कितनों ने जो है ना जिनकी literally blood glucose और diabetes manage हो गई है, कितना वजन lose किया है, how and more importantly how are they feeling good about themselves or not? Are they more active? Do they enjoy life better? These are all, some of this is data driven, some of this is not, like some of this is subjective, right?
Yes.
So शुरू में हमने कहा कि खोल दें जो मर्जी आए, just like let's open the doors for everyone and everyone, right? Not knowing कि किसके लिए ज़्यादा relevant होगा, किसके लिए नहीं होगा, right? So when we started with आपके 3-4 घंटे के होते थे interviews पहले user के, right? It would be a lot. और फिर the first batch that we brought in, it took a week for before we could even बातें बड़ी करते थे कि हाँ सब टेक है, सब कुछ है, ये वो पीछे जाके ना रातों भर उसकी चीज़ें भी होती थी. We would put the plan together and then it would deploy through टूटा फूटा like layman's version of an app. और हफ्ते बाद they were like आप कौन है, अच्छा हफ्ते बाद मिला था, हाँ आप वो हैं. People would forget, right? So it was a very different sort of very different experience, right? And in this world you have to learn quickly about तो हमारा ये था कि कुछ हमारे जो थे ना, let's say assertions or hypotheses were way off, right? And that's again that's part of learning कि पहले हमने कहा था कि जो शुरू में जिनको अभी प्री डायबिटिक हैं या शुरू की डिजीज हुई ना, they're the ones जो कि सबसे ज़्यादा करेंगे benefit because उनको चाहिए help, right? Couldn't be more wrong. It's not the one that are just starting the journey. It is the one that's struggling the most, and they're the ones who are not just benefiting the most, but they are the most they're समझ लें कि जिनको they're the most incentivized कि नहीं हमने अपना कुछ change करना है. So बड़ी बिल्कुल गलत हो गई my thesis, right? और हम लेकिन क्या थे तो we learn in between कि ऐसा नहीं होगा, right? So in figuring out now how do you know कि एक like शुरू में सब कहते हैं ना कि हाँ हम तो करेंगे, ये भी करेंगे, वो भी करेंगे, right? How can you quickly find out कि ये Sarah is going to be more likely to benefit because she's going to be more involved because she's going to believe in it, and Sabine is not. How do you know? You don't know, right? So getting those personas, attributes through both tech, like based on their habits and interactivity, as well as all of our touch points is super critical for us now, right? So now we know कि इनमें से now like within 1 week we know कि कौन सा outcome कौन reach करेगा और कौन drop off हो
Interesting.
जाएगा.
So how are those personas being mapped? Like क्या
Ah.
factors हैं जिसमें
हाँ.
unless like it's a secret.
No. I mean, I think it's all
Frauded
learning,
secret.
right? It's all learning. No, not at all. I mean, now that we finished it, we can talk about it, right?
Okay.
So
cool.
now we know कि हमारा जो focus area है ना, उसमें बहुत सारे attributes हैं.
सही है.
There's age, there is sort of income background, there is, you know, for lack of a better word, tech savviness, right?
Yeah.
Right, वो चीजें हैं. But then there's also you know, sort of emotional sort of motivation, health. There are you know, goals. Why do you join the program? पहले हम नहीं पूछते थे आपसे, right? क्यों है? आए diabetes ही होगी. But a lot of people have different programs. के diabetes तो है, but I don't feel good about myself.
Yeah.
और मसले मुझे, you know, weight के हैं या XYZ के हैं. So then you have to make sure कि you tailor the program. Program वही है almost, right? But then you tell them what the goals should be. It should be something that you care about,
Yeah.
right? So we look at behavioral. We look at really kind of you know, sort of economic background, वो सारे attributes, age factors, you know, and again other complications. So there's like a 10 or 12 किस्म की चीजें जिसकी basis पे now we are going towards कि आपकी not just the average onboarding touch points, but even the way we communicate would differ, right? And so because अभी तो वही ना कि do things that fail or fail fast, right? Like वो break fast.
Yes.
तो हमने वो शुरू की है कि सब कुछ manual कर रहे हैं. But now as we go more into the weeds, and now our goals is we need to get 1,000 people through the program, which is a large ambitious goal. You can't do this alone, right? And that's where I said, okay, that's why we want our team to be system thinkers. कि अच्छा क्या मैं अपने से 10 बंदे और लेकर आऊं, या can I do this with 2 person if I can automate this, or I can do this XYZ. So challenge themselves to scale up is where you want in early stage people who can scale with the team, right? And those are the people that are, I think, so we're very happy or very proud कि उस experience से लोग गुजर रहे हैं. So both tech and people would have to scale. अब इसके अंदर so हमारे outcomes are amazing. So now we were seeing is कि शुरू में मैंने रखा था कि 50% outcome रखे थे कि every other person who goes through the program should do this: deep prescription, weight loss, आपकी blood you know, both A1C or average blood glucose should go down. While we struggled with ये वाला point कि क्या हम इन सारे users को लेके आएं और सारे के सारे गुजरें program में से, because that's a lot of that is like commitment from people. The program is, you know, not easy. It requires commitment. And everything like that is of value in life is hard, typically, right? बहुत कम होता है. So for us to handhold and guide them would be कि अच्छा अगर who do we pick, right, in this? And that part became super relevant for us. So now we have, based on data, we know कि अच्छा अगर हमने करना है you know 40 से 55 के दरमियान जो segment है, they're the best ones, जिनकी disease की इस वक्त progression क्या है, mental state क्या है, जिनकी background क्या है, और फिर उनको किस तरह से हमने हैंड होल्ड करना है, उनके टारगेट्स क्या हैं, लूप्स किस तरह बन रहे हैं, कि ऑनबोर्डिंग कैसे होगी, ऑनबोर्डिंग के बाद फर्स्ट 90 डेज में किस तरह हम उनको करेंगे बकअप टू मीट दोस गोल्स. Now that is the science part, which is where we are now doing a lot.
So like the subjective data points that
जी.
you're collecting,
जी, बिल्कुल.
उसको essentially how are you running analysis on them? Is it like वो जो एक text analysis वाली चीज होती है, is that happening, or is it more of like you know, translation into certain categories and then उसकी basis
हाँ
पे
देखिए,
you're running
and
this?
when you're building these systems, right, वो ये कि शुरू में said कि I've learned one thing, कि don't build tech. You know, build tech, but just enough, right? So that because you know it's gonna fail, and it's going to be redone many times, right?
Absolutely.
So you know, 20 साल पहले I was a very different person. आप कहती थी कि टेबल बना दो, तो I would say अच्छा पहले हम रॉकेट लेकर आएंगे, मरीज पे जाके माइन करेंगे, वहां से बेस्ट मिनरल लेकर आएंगे, उससे बनाएंगे. It's like okay, नहीं, you know, just do something that's functional, right?
Yeah.
तो basically इसके अंदर हमने जो सिस्टम्स बनाए थे ना, वो ये थे कि टूटे फूटे, बट काम करो, मिलाओ. but we didn't compromise on, as I said, on the data
सही
and
है
the product analytics.
हम्म
कि
Okay.
user का experience क्या है और कहाँ पे we're failing.
Hmm.
So all the way from messaging that you receive on the first go, to app messaging, to clinical follow-ups, to all that. Now it's we evaluate it. We do like उसके triage होते हैं, वो देखते हैं उसकी personalization होती है. But they are different systems. CRM different है, जहाँ से
Yeah,
let's say कि पहले दफ़ा user आया है,
yeah, yeah.
उसका data clinical assessment different है, app different है, और जहाँ पे messaging करें वो different है output. तो अब इन चार system को link करना है और देखना है कि कहाँ से क्या आ रहा है, right? So that is a challenge, right? And of course you can't have perfect systems,
Yeah.
but some of it is still subjective. But then we also look at those subjective parts कि कितने off थे हम. It's almost like, you know, tech world में कहते हैं अच्छा ये story है, भाई जरा जाएं और इसकी करें estimation, कितने दिन में करेंगे? अच्छा कितने दिन में करेंगे? अच्छा ठीक है, ये you know उसकी story points हैं, you right? But you get better with time,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
similar thing, you will make some judgment calls, but you'll get better with them over a period of time.
With
But you know,
yes.
I said कि as much as we are saying कि okay इनको हमने bare minimum करना है, there are a lot of interesting things that we are working on, right? And I'm very excited about that part, which is, and based on learning as well from from our users कि अच्छा it's too much of a hassle कि मैं जाके अपनी खाने के बारे में बता रहा हूँ कि मैंने सुबह क्या खाया, ठीक है, अब उस वो डेटाबेस में है भी नहीं, अगर पहली बात तो है कि पाकिस्तान में एग्जिस्ट करता ही नहीं है डेटाबेस कोई, राइट? आपने अगर पजे के भाई खाने हैं या सुबह
बिल्कुल ऐसे ही
वारिस
है
नहारी तो क्या करेंगे आप, राइट? नहीं कर सकते, राइट? So first challenge is okay, let's go build it which is accurate, so
Yeah.
that if it's not going to be somewhat accurate, if you're not going to do it, then what, right? So there's a lot of first that we are doing in this world, in this part. So working with the best sort of team and
Yeah.
international teams to figure out कि हमारे जो databases हैं, जो food के हैं, वो कितने accurate हैं, और उनको बढ़ाएं for local local flavor के.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, we knew कि बहुत सारे यूजर्स हैं जिनके पास टाइम ही नहीं है, तो वो उन्होंने जाके अब बताना कि अच्छा अब मैंने ये खाया है, ये खाऊं, भूल जाएं आप जो मर्जी कहते हैं कि ये खाना है आपने, nobody's gonna do it, right? We will be lucky if they say कि मैं डाल रहा हूँ या डाल रही हूँ कि मैंने क्या खाया है.
Hmm.
So how do you remove that friction from
Yeah.
them? And that's the part, like we've this has become the majority of our innovation has been in this space, which is removing friction for people to enter the data. So we are going more and more in terms of, can we sense this data, or can we get it from somewhere else, right? So things like, you know, we're working on now where instead of like you pull up your phone, there's a food in front of you, it will identify, and it will not just identify food kya hai, it will say कि उसका size क्या है, कितना quantity में है. So then you don't have to do it, right? And then you can tell them कि look, oh अच्छा ये तो बहुत अच्छा किया आपने, चलें ये खा लिया, शाबाश, बहुत अच्छा, right? But you know, हल्का हौला हाथ रखें नान पे अगली दफा, right? या
Yeah.
next meal में please make sure you do this, otherwise you know what's going to happen to you emotionally. You will have this low, and you will now go to sleep, and you need to take a break and met out of energy. It's better to do that, right? So how do you communicate that while making it easy for a user to do that, right? Yeah. Secondly, we're working on things like conversational part. कि मेरा data है, right? I can ask questions, right, from the system. अच्छा बताएं अगली दवाई कौन सी है मेरी, right? In whatever form, I can speak to it in Urdu. I should be able to type it in, right? So that's the part that we are working on
Very
now,
cool.
because we have all kinds of users. Some users might say, okay, WhatsApp is their interface now, right? अब मैं क्या करूँ? या मेरी report आ गई है. Somebody needs to decode it for me. Do I need to call a doctor? So that conversational intelligent being will tell you कि अच्छा हाँ, based on your data, ये सही है, even though like या ये range में. So that is very critical for us to be able to open up the conversational part. Third is like really, you know, Sarah Sabine की recommendation. मैंने you know, खैर मैं थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा you know, I don't know, खैर I plan my week. वो होता है ना कि फ्रिज पे लगा होता है कि आपने मंडे को क्या खाना है, ट्यूसडे को क्या खाना है, सैटरडे को
Oh,
क्या खाना है,
wow.
right?
Nice.
So when you're planning your week, right, there's a recommendation system which says कि based on your likes and based on what nutrition is saying, can we do something which intersects and says okay, here's habit, right? Ultimate goal is to say, okay, you know, deliver this to me, and then you know it appears
That
magically,
is
right?
so cool.
That's gonna happen
वैसे
as well.
यूज कर लूंगी वहां से
That's-
आपको
मुझे-
बता रही
I
है
know. So there's amazing type like innovation that needs to happen. Some of this we are proud that we are now
Yes.
that we have all this now data. we will be working on this and investing more and more in R&D.
क्योंकि ये
हाँ,
सारी ना डिफरेंट एप्स हैं
yeah,
असल
yeah.
में कि
हाँ,
मुझे
और
जी
ये
आपने वो
work करनी
सारी
है।
merge कर दी हैं।
हाँ, और
absolutely.
वो एक सिस्टम ही मुझे सारा कुछ बता रहा है
Because
और वो मेरा
Yeah,
बडी है।
yeah.
जी और अब हमें
Exactly.
we've also gotten थोड़ा सा पहले ही लिया था, but we now have like we can now get your data from your Apple, Google, Fitbit,
Oh, interesting.
Samsung
अच्छा
to
अच्छा
now
cool.
it's out rather than entering
पुल
the
कर
steps
लिया।
लिए
Yeah.
so do not bother the user. If you can send something, bring it here
Yeah.
and give them very relevant actionable advice which they would love to see कि हाँ ओ अच्छा ये amazing है, right? तो ऐसा ऐसा करके ना बहुत सारा चीजें इस पे अब काम हो रहा है।
आपने वो book पढ़ी हुई है? It's called Nudge. By any chance?
नहीं
You should read
मैंने
it.
I am
You
going
should
to
definitely read it. I feel like a lot of the principles that the book talks about, you're already employing it in your product, and I'm sure if there are more, you'll be
of
very happy
course
to
I
read
would
it.
love to pick it up.
It's a pretty good book.
Thank you for the recommendation.
Yeah, like so when you were talking, actually मुझे उस book से examples याद आ रही थी. They talk about similar things in terms of how if you want to live a healthy lifestyle, तो what changes you can make in your life जो कि आपको एक किस्म का nudge करेंगे कि for example, if you
Brilliant.
really like chocolates, let's say,
जी
but they're not healthy,
जी
so you would want to place them on like the top most shelf of your kitchen because you'd be like, yeah, I
अच्छा, अब
don't
कहाँ से
want to get up and take it down. But then if you're somebody who does not like nuts, you'll be like, यार बिल्कुल सामने रखो कि मुझे जैसे ही भूख लगे, I that's the easiest thing to pick up and eat.
amazing.
So
Voila.
I feel like you'll be able to relate. Your product will be able to relate.
For sure and that's exactly the kind of
Yeah.
hacks and you know like human psyche that we're trying to break through and say कि ये करना है हमने, but amazing. Very relevant things, right? Like you know how much you know some person might want to see all the notification दवाई लो ये करो वो करो, some is like hey this is too much. How do you know? And they, like you know उसमें अगर आप बहुत सारा दे रहे हैं there could be noise and you might miss information.
Yeah.
So all of this is so much amazing learnings that we've done in the last few months, and I said every day is we treat like new day. Let's go learn more.
तो
That's
बस
so cool.
मैं यूजर हूँ एक आपका,
जी।
ठीक है। मैंने मे बी अपनी डॉक्टर की अपॉइंटमेंट आई मिस दैट, और मे बी यू नो आई एम नॉट लॉगिंग इन माय प्रॉपर फूड, मैंने नहीं
जी,
इतना
जी।
बताया हुआ, मैंने चीज़ें मिस कर दी, सो दैट मीन्स द यूजर इज लॉस्ट नाउ।
बहुत अच्छा सवाल किया और हम सोचते थे कि शायद यही हो गया है कि भाई वो तो like you're not even
They're
you know
ghosting us.
ghosting us और सारा कुछ, right? अच्छा हमने ना शुरू में तो again a lot of this is still manual, right?
Yeah.
कि just kind of looking at the loop. Day one आप अभी शुरू किया ना, day one पे क्या करना है, day 2 पे क्या करना है, day 7 पे क्या करना है. It's all like milestones, right? Habit forming की बात हो रही है, right? Like how can you
सही।
form that? Once you form a habit, it's difficult. हमने खैर it's difficult to get off, but you do need to be constantly challenged as well. And we've seen users who form habit, but once they achieve the goal, they plateaued. They're like, "Acha, ab kya karna hai? Next, this is all I have." Anyway, but back to your point, you know, we don't abandon. मैं कल ही एक मजेदार एक हमारे user हैं, because we're so into data now, right? Like it's amazing. I wish I could show you like how we run this, and I will show you once you're over. कि एक यूजर है, it's a and you see this a lot in pairs, so mother son daughter father, because अगर diabetes आपकी family में है and it's all about lifestyle, so it's likelihood कि आपकी progeny या आपके जो parents हैं उनका भी होगी, right? So you know we see this kind of this thing where the son's an amazing user, active user, the mother is not, and we're like you know बहुत reach out किया, and you know this programs we've run so far for free, right? So you know, but we didn't get any answer. You know, kal I was like, I'm gonna call the person, you know, and I do this, right? And let's make sure I'm just gonna talk to her, right? Unknown number hai shayad utha le या spam mark करेंगी, which is not a good idea, but you know, anyway, so we spoke to the person, very educated, very nice. He's like, oh, you know, I lost my phone, got snatched 2 months ago. And I, you know, and you know, even I sent a message through my son, or yeah, lost, okay, right? But I love to come back because you know what, I am now seeing that I should follow the program because 2 mahine ho gaye maine nahi kiya, and I'm feeling miserable and I'm even lost now. So you know, these things matter, where you can come up with the best of the best loops, automated plus human, which I believe in, but every person in our team gets on these calls to understand कि who are they
Who
talking
are
to?
they?
You know, understanding their problems, right?
Yeah.
Now again, in a HIPAA compliant privacy way, not you know, we're not violating that part, you know, but I spend a lot of time directly answering and looking at and making sure, because that's how I felt. Like reason, like I felt helpless, right? Like when you're going through a disease and you're like, okay, मुझे disease पता लग गया है, but मेरे में बहुत सारे सवाल भी हैं. और अगर वो disease खराब हो रही है and you're seeing loved ones in pain, what do I do?
Yeah.
If that doesn't work, what do I do? Right? So I need a playbook, right? And that playbook doesn't exist for anyone. So for me, it's critical कि कोई आपसे अगर reach out करे, doesn't matter how difficult it is, it's you need to answer in a timely manner and then get them help as soon as possible. And that is something that I'm passionate about, and I monitor it rigorously. Oh, cha, you know, I'm gonna answer that question.
So we've talked about the pilot, we've talked about the results. I want to know, okay, what is your ek kisam ka end goal, your long-term plan in terms of Alif? How do you foresee it in, like, let's say the next 10 years? Because from my perspective, मुझे लग रहा है कि we can actually, if you decide to pitch it to like public hospitals, this could become like a one-stop shop for, you know, healthcare
बिकॉज इनमें
providers.
तो अभी भी कोई टीवीसी चल रहा है कि मैं घर में बैठी हूँ, एकदम से वो आया कि यार ये जो ऐप है ना, आई एम गोइंग टू टेल माय पेरेंट्स एज वेल कि देखें प्लीज लेट्स जस्ट डू दिस.
अभी टीवीसी वाली फंडिंग नहीं है, बस आई वो करेंगे इंशाल्लाह, वो भी
But
आएगी.
inshallah, yeah.
नहीं, बट बहुत अच्छा सवाल है, बहुत रेलेवेंट है. So देखिए, पहले तो ये कि this has a huge global appeal. ठीक है. So you know, जो entrepreneur or जो engineer in me really wants this to be कि can we build a product from Pakistan that is a worldwide success and the kind of impact we really can dream of, right? अगर हर दूसरे बंदे को chronic disease है या कोई disease है, right? We really talk about that kind of scale route, right? I mean, wishful thinking, of course, you know, we can all dream, but you know, in terms of like where it's going is, I really do see this. हाँ, बस बहुत examples अच्छी हैं. Noom is a great example of, you know, where you are looking at more mindfulness and some of these things. But ऐसा कि ये बहुत disparate sources हैं कि अच्छा यहाँ से help चाहिए तो यहाँ जाएं, यहाँ से तो ये चाहिए, right? वही बताना कि एंड में आप ही को करना है सब कुछ, राइट? मैंने अगर एक्सरसाइज करनी तो यहाँ जाना है, दवाई लेनी है तो डॉक्टर के पास जाना है. मैंने अगर देखना है जेनेटिक मार्कअप किया है तो 23andMe पहले जाके करूँ, अवेलेबल नहीं है, राइट? ऐप मुझे कुछ और बता रही है, इट्स नॉट इवन ट्यून टू मी, डजंट अंडरस्टैंड, राइट? तो यू स्टिल आर, you really have to bring all this together yourself, which is a lot of work, right? And then your data point of one, right? You don't even know what's going to work or not, right? So the way I see it is in the next 10 years, about Pakistan and the global impact, is this really becomes it's for everyone, right? Whether you are somebody who's experiencing or going through a disease, or about to experience disease, or are healthy. I really want this to be so educative, educative and informative. It you it's part of your life. It's like, by the way, we get this like as part of our, some of the users says, you know what, your WhatsApp to us. That was the best comment we get. We can't live without you. Your WhatsApp to us, right? Like that's the same significance we have, because just like we're in touch with our loved ones, we can't live without like Alif Care, because now I open it even more than WhatsApp to see ho kya raha hai. I mean, that just made our day, right? I mean, we're getting amazing out, right? So we really do believe we see a world jahan pe a large population in whatever language, khitta, whatever interface is using this to understand themselves, their mind, their body, and then using it to actually bring everything together. So doctor se baat karni hai, we're already in MVP. Some secrets mein de raha hu team jo maregi jaake bhi, ke we are going remote as well. So people, without diminishing the value, can we do remote consultations, right? सारा कुछ हम कर सकते नहीं कर सकते, right? So we're already thinking about that. So imagine कि हम it's in your pocket, right? Whatever interface, it knows you as much as you do and is guiding you. कि देखें, अगले एक साल में ये goals होने चाहिए. You define the goals. I want to be more active. I want to eat healthy. I want to lose weight. Or if you have a disease, like you have those outcomes. And it's nudging you, it's guiding you, it's telling you, and it's helping you execute that. So it becomes your carer, right? So we want to
Mm-hmm.
become a very educated carer who knows us better than we do. That's the goal of Alif Care in Pakistan and throughout the world, right? And we don't. I see that this is not. Now we see a lot of interrelatability. कि
Yeah.
एक disease नहीं होती, शुरू एक से होती है, फिर comorbidity होती है, XYZ. We want this to be, like a global app with more than one disease footprints को solve कर रहे हैं आप. And it becomes as like a companion, a cater app, that basically lives, with you in you. So that's the overall goal.
That's
Amazing.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I know ये question की timing अच्छी नहीं है बिल्कुल भी. It should have been like my first question.
No, go for it.
But where did you come up with the name Alif? Because
Ah,
Alif
ये
is
मैं
like
सोच ही
इतनी
रही थी.
ज़्यादा इसकी connotations हैं to this
जी
alphabet,
जी
right?
जी
It's like the
जी
first alphabet of
right
the Urdu language.
right
उसके बाद usually Allah के साथ भी इसको किया जाता
right
है.
right
वो so what was
right
the thinking behind
right
Alif
right.
Care
So it wasn't the first, by the way.
name?
It wasn't the first name, right? Uh, जब जब शुरू कर रहे थे तो थोड़ी सी जर्नी ये भी रही है कि uh, uh, थोड़ा सा आप देखते हैं कि आप किससे गुजरे हैं, राइट? आपको शुरू
Hmm.
में ना टाइम लगता है सोचने समझने का. तो व्हेन आई वाज लुकिंग एट कि किस प्रॉब्लम को अटैक करना है इन हेल्थ केयर स्पेस, तो वी लुक्ड एट लिटिल बिट टुवर्ड्स द एंड ऑफ लाइफ एंड जीरियाट्रिक्स, और कि डिपेंड अगर कोई वाकई किसी को केयर चाहिए,
Yeah.
right? So so that's kind of where I'm dependent on somebody. So we started with that, and then वहाँ पे कुछ एक दो नाम सोचे थे, और जो कि and we did a small pilot which didn't work out, which is amazing. तो वहाँ पे हमने सोचा कि we should have a name called बुजुर्ग, right? So and then
Not sure how people would
I
react
know,
to that.
I thought कि part of that was कि अच्छा, we're catering to इस तरह की एक population जो कि वो नहीं है कि आप 4 letter कोई word निकाल लें और वो आ
Yeah.
जाए, right? It want to be relatable and आसान, easy to remember, and something that's kind of very understood, locally. And yes, वो नहीं हुआ. वो लोग, people took offense कि मैं तो अभी 60 साल का ही बुजुर्ग तो नहीं हूँ, right? तो भाई ये बुजुर्ग क्यों कह रहे हैं आप मुझे, right? कि आपको तो नहीं कह रहे, और but नहीं, ठीक है, point valid, right? So I think we went a little bit broader, and because we are starting in Pakistan, we want to go to region. Our next destination is Middle East, and we want to and worldwide from there. So we wanted something that really signifies the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So in Arabic, right, it's the journey.
Yeah.
So you start the journey towards really self-discovery, investing in yourself, well-being, and that starts with the first Alif. So that's how we came with that, and luckily it was available.
Domain.
A
This was
domain.
oh no.
Domain was available. Uski mukhtalif spellings thi, but I think the cheapest one that we could find, that I could find. So that's how we stumbled upon
Okay.
Alif Care.
Oh,
I
that's so
like
nice.
that story.
नहीं अलिफ
Thank
वैसे ही
you.
बहुत ही एक पता नहीं क्यों
It has
very
like a spiritual,
yeah.
connotation to it as
Right.
well.
And I love our logo. I mean, Johanna, I don't know if you've seen that it's
Yes,
not so Alif Care, Johanna Mazdar side,
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah.
It's pretty cool.
so खैर अब अब लास्ट सेक्शन की तरफ आते हैं हम अपनी गुफ्तगू के
जी.
had an amazing conversation but हम अपने हर गेस्ट से एक दो तीन चीज़ें ज़रूर पूछते हैं सो एक तो हम ये पूछते हैं कि if there are any recommendations like a book you want to recommend कोई series season वगैरह कोई movie any cuisine anything so if there are any recommendations
A kind of chips that you like.
Wow.
Maybe, yeah.
Amazing. Nahin. I think just going through Alif, this journey in the last 5 months, I've learned so much about uh, uh, just our evolution and human body and how individual we are, right? Sort of, what of course Sarah would like, Sabine may not like, or Abbas likes, right? वो बिल्कुल मुख्तलिफ हैं. So the individualistic nature is
Yeah.
something that I now truly appreciate. Everyone is different potential and very different, right? So in that spirit, but there's certain things very very common, right? So I almost I always now am a big believer in the science of how we should eat, right? Not like what we should eat, but how we should
How
eat.
we should eat.
So एक तो ये है कि I think just being mindful about that is incredible. It will change your life. कि आपने जो कि हम बचपन से खाते आ रहे हैं ना कि अच्छा भाई रोटी सालन जो भी है, right? But the order in which you eat is very is critical. कि आप उसको थोड़ा चेंज कर दें, it has amazing impact on your life. So आपकी sleep better हो जाएगी, आपकी focus better हो जाएगा, आपका वेट बेहतर हो जाएगा और मोर एंड ऑफ कोर्स आपकी ब्लड शुगर कंट्रोल में आ जाएगी, सारा कुछ है. तो एनीवे ये तो खैर यू कैन होपफुली वो हमने डाला नहीं अभी तक, तो यू गो टू अलिफ केयर वाले इंस्टाग्राम पे कहीं ना कहीं डालने वाले हैं अभी यहाँ पे these hacks, right? But prioritize health, prioritize eating healthy over anything else, right? और उसके अंदर obviously I now highly recommend, I'm a huge fan of this, कि start your day with like good amount of fiber, right? So and add greens to your life, right? That is like, what I think, colorful rainbow plate looks good, tastes good, but it does wonder for your body as well.
Yeah.
So I would say कि just reading about it or spending 20 minutes or 30 minutes just once to understand वो क्या है. There's a amazing can't tell you scientist that we follow. Her name is Glucose Goddess. उसका Instagram handle है.
Interesting.
We all love her. We're in awe of her. She has amazing books as well.
Okay.
And she has the best Instagram shorts. So she'll convince you in five minutes कि वो क्यों अच्छा है. So I highly recommend कि आप Glucose Goddess को and Alif Care दोनों को follow करें. दोनों को follow करें. कुछ चीज़ें चुराई होंगी वहाँ से, but that's the idea. It's a good small community. So I think prioritize on your eating habit and prioritize your health. That's number one. Number two, I'm not ashamed to say कि मैं होता है ना वो young reader, वो epic fiction का बहुत बड़ा junkie हूँ, fan हूँ. So that's how that's how I spend that's like my night stand ends with that, right, reading. So I like we need the creative juices flowing in us, right? And whatever your fix is, so for some people it might be gaming, right?
Yeah.
So but I like reading a lot, so I recommend doing something meaningful, like जिसमें world building हो, थोड़ी सी physics हो, थोड़ा सा आपका ना दिमाग बिल्कुल ही हटे जमीन से, और कहीं आप जाके खड़े हो कि ओह ये भी possibility है. And a lot of times startups sometimes it feels that way कि अच्छा you feel कि oh ये भी possibility है, right? So you want that creative juices flowing through you. So I recommend, of course, building a habit of reading at night.
कोई
And I
book
keep
तो
touching it.
recommend करें फिर.
हाँ, so I've just finished. So I just finished an amazing trilogy. उसका नाम है The Three Body Problem.
Okay.
Right. So it's one of the first. It's not maybe the only one. It's a Chinese author who's been translated. It's epic fiction, and he's won the Hugo Award, which is I usually follow the Hugo Awards. कौन से जीते हैं पिछले साल के बताएं ना, because you have limited time as well, right? Though the three body problem and it's very relevant to our situation as well, what we're going through. So crazy, like I can't put it down. So I think I'm gonna read it again very soon in my vacation. That's kind of the thing. So that's I recommend, like reading very interesting, whatever interests you. But for me, doing world building epic fiction with some realism of like relevance of physics is very it gets me going. But find your passion and do that. So ये दो चीजें हैं that I recommend. And third is, I think it's probably like two more things. One is sleep. Get our sleep and better, right? So just forming good habits about just good hygiene, about digital hygiene is very critical, right? So make sure prioritize your sleep, right? Even so, we also prioritize. I am very Joanna, also privileged, but also promote this at work. Okay, you're feeling tired, go take a nap. काम हो जाएगा, जाओ take a 30-minute nap. I'm going to try to create like a, like more wellness room. That's fine, right?
Oh
Because
God, I want to take a nap.
when you get when you because when you or when you are up, like get your circadian cycle in
Yeah.
right, and this is, you feel a changed person.
Do you have any moms in your team? Because they rave. I'm so sure they
मैं
appreciate
यही
those
कहने
naps.
लगी थी।
You are like their hero at this point.
And I used to do that, right? Like, I mean, I believed in it, right? But when I started my first job, I never used to leave my office. So I asked my boss, can you give me a couch and futon? Leave it there. मैं तो साथ में सो जाऊंगा यहाँ पे, कौन घर जाए, right? So the reverse. I had a reverse problem, right? But nahi, I definitely believe it. And this is communication. It's like, oh, I'm feeling very tired. I'm going to go home, take a nap, and I'll pick up work, right? Simple. But
That's so cool.
don't have to make excuses about it, because prioritize your health. So I think just sleep pattern is very, very critical. And lastly, to me, as having, because life is so chaotic, वगैरह,
Hmm.
it's about prioritization, right? It's unfortunately हमारी हवा काफी खराब हो गई है अब, but even a 10-minute walk to clear your head is
Yeah.
important, right? So all of this is your body, eating habit, mindfulness. Prioritize that. It doesn't take long. 10 minute bhi kar le. Even getting just breathing in order,
Yeah. Yeah.
very critical. So invest in yourself and don't be ashamed of it, right? That to me is if we can learn it, we will be a changed nation for sure.
Yeah. So these are a lot of things, honestly. But for you, what's that one thing where you kind of say कि यार अच्छा मैं आज बहुत थक गया हूँ या I'm like really stressed out. So what's your escape essentially?
Wow. Acha, what
And it
is
has to be one thing. So for example, for some people, it's like uh, eating a food that they really like.
yeah.
For some of them, it might just be watching a movie.
Well, I'll tell you. I mean, I have for me, it's burfi, not the eating kind burfi. I have a small
Yes, yes.
dog and pets. So
Oh,
they
nice.
are the biggest stress buster and relief for me, right? So again, caring for somebody, that relationship is like whatever it is. It's a billy, dog, cat, hopefully elephants now, mushkil hai, but horses,
Very
any
cute.
pet that you can care about, right? Or I'm sure people who are or parents, right? Kids, and for kids having a pet, that
Yeah.
growing up with that is amazing. So for me, my stress buster and like my where I get very high energy, and the fact that she makes me run 3 miles like every day, right? That to me is I can't imagine like I'm not doing that, right? And the guilty pleasure, if you ask me, is is going to be music. Yeah, I think music and epic fiction, both. Those two are the ones that if I can dedicate 15 minutes of it, um, I will. I come out like a changed person.
That's one pleasure you shouldn't feel guilty about.
Never, never. And this is, it takes work, right? It's like you say, oh, I can spend this time with my parents or X, Y, but we all need time alone.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. We usually end with a message that you have for the audience. So,
So काफी मजेदार messages
मेरे
वैसे
ख्याल
हाँ,
में तो the
हाँ,
entire conversation you had so many messages
Yeah.
related
Right.
to health and
Right.
fitness and things like that.
Right.
But besides that,
Right.
if there's something that you would wanna,
Right.
you wish the whole world could follow.
Yeah. I think being deliberate about your time and how you investing your time, where are you investing your time, right? मैं वैसे calendar का कीड़ा हूँ, so if it's on my calendar, I follow it, right? But I also am very deliberate about कि अच्छा अगर मैंने time निकालना है for myself, right? That needs work, right? I need to carve out that time, right? So two things I'd say. I mean, with two things, right? One, there is no substitute for hard work. So I think geniuses and smart people are they're just kind of overrated, right? And it's a challenge. I mean, I've fortunately known a lot of smart people, and Yasser is as smart as they come. But ask him, I'm sure the amount of effort and deliberate effort that's gone in to making Yasser and Arbisoft and where this is is insane, right? Same, I think so. Hard work is will always win, always, right? uh, but hard work with deliberate actions. So prioritize your calendar in every minute. Like as you grow, you'll be like, what happened, right? I'm in my 30s, 40s, 50s, right? Even achieving happiness is deliberate thing where you have to make time. So I highly recommend is for us to be deliberate and understand how we're spending our time and the quality of time. To me, balancing that out of acha, this is my time, I'm gonna do this, right? I don't care if I have to go at wake up at 5 a.m. And do this run. Forming that habit is important, right? And you so those two go in hand, right? You can't like अच्छा मैं आज 12 घंटे रोज सोऊंगा, right? और जो मर्जी कर लूं, right? Right, prioritizing like my laziness or everything, right? It has to be prioritizing time, and
Yeah.
that is where you find that you can make infinite time. You will
Yeah.
find time, but if you know what you're going after, and then end of the week I look at how I spend my time,
Hmm.
or वो कहाँ पे था, right? और क्यों गया, and that to me is saved my life, and made me who I am. So
Very
Wow.
nice message. I feel personally targeted, to be honest.
To be honest, yeah.
I've seen your calendar. Just kidding.
No, but definitely, that is something jo ke I feel it helps you keep organized, as well as it like makes you happy once at the end of the week. Jaise humne baat ki, if you look at your calendar, you're like, oh wait, I achieved all of this.
Yeah, it's the
So
same as achieving the highest score in Candy Crush, right? It's like you do get the oh, okay, this is amazing.
yeah. All right. Chale, we're gonna wrap up our podcast.